And we welcome you in our special conversation with West Virginia University's newest Vice President and Director of Athletics, Wren Baker. It's brought to us by Diversified Energy. It has been already a whirlwind day for you. The press conference, meeting donors, and I would imagine it's going to kind of continue in that way. First off, let's get to know you a little bit. Perception-wise, what was it that attracted you to WVU?
I think on the institution side, it really was the leadership. It was the vision President Gee has, but also the statewide presence, how much it means to this entire state, the history and tradition, but also the potential of WVU. And so the more that we looked into it, a place that has roots as a land-grant institution, is about academic excellence, being an R1 research institution, but also about access for all West Virginians. All of those things really pulled at us. Heather and I are both first-generation college graduates. And then on the personal side, we've heard such great things about Morgantown and raising a family here. We both grew up in small towns in Oklahoma. And we're finding out that even though we haven't lived in West Virginia, we speak the same language. These are people that have the same kind of heart, the same kind of spirit, the same kind of work ethic that we do. So the more that we researched it, we became really excited.
You mentioned work ethic, and earlier we were chatting, and your family worked, dad, grandfather, paper mill, uncle, so you saw that blue-collar mentality growing up, huh?
I did, and I got to work in that paper mill a little bit. They had a summer program. You pay your way through college, and so that kept me focused on grades and not my social habits in college because I knew that I'd be in that paper mill. But it's a great place. Lots of people in my part of the state of Oklahoma make a living there, and it's a good living. But I knew I wanted to be a part of really having a chance to see young people grow and develop. And I thought, honestly, that would be in the public schools. But ultimately, it led me to intercollegiate athletics. But my work ethic, my understanding of what it takes to be successful certainly was developed and honed there in my hometown and with the time I spent at the mill.
You've got background in a couple of institutions that we're familiar with, obviously Oklahoma State, where you were there several years with Coach Sutton, the University of Missouri. You've been obviously a sitting athletic director, now athletic director at the Power 5 level. So along that road, you pick up a piece here and a piece here as to, when I get my opportunity to do this, this is what it's going to look like. What is it going to look like?
Well, I think what people will see is a real focus on details. I believe little things make big things. I think they'll see that we're going to be focused on the growth and development of student athletes from the time of recruitment to the time that they walk across the stage with hopefully a degree in one hand and a championship ring on the other. But that time in between, we want to make sure that their nutrition program is great, their sports medicine program is great, that their academic support is great, all of those things. And so we're going to win a lot of games, and we're not going to hide from the fact that that's a metric that's really important to our fans and to our stakeholders. But our focus is going to be on how do we take people and make them better, athletically, of course, but also academically and as people.
Let's talk about the three-letter word, NIL. It has become prevalent within this industry, and you mentioned in your introductory press conference that this is a paradigm-shifting moment in the history of college sports. What is your, and I know it changes on a week-to-week basis, what's your take on NIL, and how do institutions like West Virginia live in that world?
Yeah, our job is to provide opportunities for young people, and really that's what NIL does. It provides opportunities for young people, and so it doesn't change our focus on trying to make sure that they're graduating and all the things I just talked about. But it is an avenue that provides them opportunities to better themselves, to make some money, to get some opportunities to get their brand out there. And so I'm going to be very supportive as the rules will allow me to be. We're not going to break a rule. I believe integrity is a core value, and it's important to what we're doing. But I think NIL opportunities are huge, and I encourage people to support Country Roads Trust and other avenues that provide those opportunities for our student athletes, because one, that's good for them, but also in a competitive world of intercollegiate athletics right now, that's part of the competition.
Sure, absolutely. It's all about support. So with that being said, what would your message be to Mountaineer Nation as to how they can help?
Well, I think we have a lot of ways to support need. The MAC certainly is important, provides scholarship opportunities, provides other support programs for student athletes. First thing I'm going to do once you let me go today is to join the MAC. I think that's critical. NIL opportunities are certainly important as we get our feet on the ground here and we figure out, do we need other building improvements or tools or enhancements? We'll need support there. But I believe that Mountaineer Nation is strong. There's a lot of us, and together we can get all those things done. We don't have to do one thing at the sacrifice of another. This is a fan base that has the ability to do all those things.
The transfer portal is also just a massive part of this new world that we're living in. How do you deal in that world?
Yeah, I think the first thing you do is go back to what we talked about a little bit ago. You have a great student-athlete experience. Talent retention is important, but talent acquisition is important. So you get them here, you make sure that they feel like you're pouring into them, that you care about their growth and development, that you're not just trying to get them to win games. Once we have people here, keeping them is a priority. But then we have to make sure that we're building a case that all of the things that are out there, and NIL is part of that, that the opportunities at West Virginia are as good or better than anywhere in the country. And I believe they are. That's why I'm here. And it's my job to make sure that we're presenting that case, that we have the staffing to evaluate talent in the portal, but also the staffing to sell what we're doing and tell our story.
Yeah. As we go along life's journey, we have various people that help us, give us the hand, that mentor us, whether they know it or not at that time. Who would be your mentor or mentors going forward?
Well, I've had so many over the course of my life, and if I got started naming a lot of names, I'd get myself in trouble. But a couple I'll mention because I think the fans will know him. Mac Rhodes, the AD at Baylor, is a dear friend. I worked for him at Missouri. He's been a great mentor, and we talk often. And he was very positive about West Virginia. I mean, he was somebody who early on said, I think you ought to look at it. Joe Castiglione's a good friend. Lots of respect for this place. Of course, Joe's Italian, so he loves the Italian flavor that exists in this state, and he has all the restaurants already lined out for me. And then, those are two great professional mentors. But my mom, I was raised by a single mother, and she's certainly somebody I talk to about everything that goes on in my life, and then my family. Even though we're a family and I'm the head of household, I really see them as mentors and partners on this journey. They've helped me grow. I don't think anything's helped me mature more in life than being a father. Sure. So I see them as mentors as well.
Yeah, that's the ultimate coaching job, isn't it?
It is. I became a lot less selfish when I had those kids.
When you start to take a look at the football program, which you addressed during your introductory press conference, you said, I'm going to lock arms and we're going to take a look and see where this needs to be improved. Walk us through a little bit of what your thought is there.
Well, I think, and Coach Brown and I have already had the chance to visit. We did a 2-hour Zoom a few nights ago. We've talked almost every day, spent some time with him last night. I think it really is going through and all those things I talked about, from the time we first start recruiting a student athlete to the time they make a visit to the time they get here, how we coach them and tell them to eat, how we develop them as people, their academic success. All of those things we have to make sure that we're doing a great job, and we're aligned. There has to be alignment. You can have somebody who's good over here and somebody who's good over there, but if they're not on the same page, you're not, the sum is not what it should be. And so really spend a lot of time, not just with Coach Brown, with all of our coaches, to figure out, let's assess all these areas. Are there any gaps? Are there any gaps in resources? Are there any gaps in personnel? Are there any gaps in any of these areas? And then let me know what I can do to help fill those. And I'll be spending a lot of time. Obviously, football is a big driver of just the profile of the institution, of revenue, of a lot of different things. So I'll be spending a lot of time with Coach Brown, but I'll also do the exact same exercise with all of our coaches.
Thanks so much. We appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Let's go Mountaineers.
And there he is, our new athletic director at West Virginia University, Wren Baker. And this special conversation has been brought to us by Diversified Energy.